Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Messages from Heaven podcast. And I have a special guest for you today, Kristen Stone from Standing Stones Healing.com. I've known Kristen for a long time, a long, long time. We won't even tell you how long, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. But today's podcast is going to be all about the ruins. What are the ruins? How are they used? How do you throw them or cast them to do a reading for yourself or for others? So don't leave us. And because Kristen has agreed to give me a reading at the end of the podcast. So stay tuned. But Kristen Stone is a Reiki teacher, a card reader, a mentor, helping Reiki practitioners start and grow their Reiki business, which is amazing because everyone needs help with that when they first start off. He is also the founder of the Reiki Business Collective and host of his own podcast called Build Your Reiki Business Podcast. He's also the creator of the Reiki Business Summit with the mission to help build 10,000 Reiki businesses for a better world. And so you can tell that Kristen is also all about Reiki, a wonderful healer. I hope that you reach out to him, whether it's for a card reading or for you even do long distance Reiki as well, right, Kristen? And if you're into Reiki, if you've, Kristen teaches classes and he'll help you with your business as well, correct? He's a great
Yes.
mentor, you guys, a great mentor. And you wait, he has the most beautiful laugh in the world. And when you hear it, it's just going to warm your heart. So thank you for joining me today, Kristen. And I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead. Tell us about the ruins.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. Such an honor to be here with you. And thank you to everyone tuning in. It's great to have you with us. So, yes, I have been reading runes for, oh gosh, 10 years now, I think it has been. It's been quite some time. And the runes, if you're not familiar with them, I've got my bag of runes right here. But the runes are from the ancient Norse language Elder Futhark. And with the runes, each symbol has a name and has layers of meaning. And way back in the day, 2000 plus years ago, when the Vikings began using the Elder Futhark language, began using these runes, they used them in multiple ways. So they used them for things like inscribing stones. We have rune stones that are standing stones that have been inscribed with runes and messages. They used to carve them on jewelry. They used to carve them on their weaponry, their Viking ships, and so the runes were very much a way of sending messages and used for like protection purposes when it came to writing them on their weaponry and things like that, their ships when they went out to do their raids. And so one of the things they also used runes for was divination, that act of trying to figure out messages from the gods and determine the future based upon the messages from the runes. Now, I will say that there is some controversy about whether or not the Vikings actually used runes for divination, but why not? Why wouldn't they? We know that divination practices like reading stones and reading bones and reading clouds have been in use for thousands of years. And so, why wouldn't the Vikings be using them in that way as well? Now, when we talk about the Vikings using these in a divinatory practice, we do actually have records of them being used for receiving messages from the medieval period, the 1600s. And so, if not in use then why weren't they being used hundreds, 1,000 years before that, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I also want to make sure to mention that one thing we do know is that rune readers in the Vikings, among the Vikings in the Viking culture, were not just men. Women were rune readers as well, and they had a respected place within the tribe. And so they would have their runes, and they had different ways of reading their runes, and they would often carry them in a pouch. And one of the old ways of reading the runes, Bonnie, and everyone, was to take this whole pouch. There are 24 runes. Take this whole pouch, dump them out on the ground, all of them, and then read the ones that were face up.
Oh,
So that was one way of reading the runes. Of course, we have plenty of different ways to read them, plenty of different ways that we can incorporate them. But that is one way that they used to read them in the past. Now, like I said, these runes are multi-layered. So one symbol like this, it looks like an M, right?
mm-hmm.
In the Elder Futhark language, this actually symbolized a horse. Now, does this look like a horse? No. I mean, you can maybe kind of imagine it once you hear that it symbolized the horse. But um, the thing is with these runes is that one thing that makes them so fascinating and intriguing is that they are these symbols that look very, you know, rudimentary, very. I had one student describe them as stick figure like. I had another student who was like, even I can draw those. They are very plain and very just simple. And so, one of the things that's really fascinating about the runes is that we look at these symbols and this just looks like an R. But in the ancient Futhark, Elder Futhark language, of course, this was not an R. This symbolized a chariot.
Oh,
And yes, right? Now, I don't see a chariot here personally, but there you have it. And so when we do a rune reading or we use the runes, there's something so very magical and mystical about them because they're these symbols that we're like, we don't even know what this means, but how cool that we can use them, even though they are thousands of years old and they are still timely and fresh and relevant to
yeah,
our
they're
own
timeless,
lives.
right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, Bonnie. Yes. And so in the Elder Futhark, there are 24 runes,
Mhm.
and there is in the modern usage of the runes a 25th rune that is blank. This is not a traditional rune, but I use it in my readings because it's really just all about the unknown. It's all about honoring and recognizing that we can't and don't know everything.
Right.
And so the runes really do have so much to share with us and so much to teach us. And they really and truly are a real gift. The myth is that the Norse god Odin brought the runes to us after hanging on the world tree Yggdrasil for 9 days and 9 nights. So as the story goes, he hung upside down on the world tree because he was trying to figure out the meaning of life.
Hmm.
I mean, aren't we all? But
Yeah.
he was, yeah, but he was trying to get information to, really figure it all out. And on that ninth day, just as he was about to fall from the world tree out of exhaustion, He saw the runes and he grabbed them and clutched them and brought them back to us. And so, thanks to Odin hanging on the world tree, we now have the runes and can use them.
It's so exciting. And when you're talking about it, it still brings feelings of healing, like with the Reiki and being on the mountain and getting the symbols, or even the tarot with the meanings, the hangman hanging down to get all that knowledge. So it's just so nice how they kind of all have some common denomination there.
Yeah, such a good point, Bonnie. You know, with any practice that is really rich and beautiful and spiritual,
Hmm.
there is so much an element of the myth
Hmm.
and the mystery and the unknown. And that's really part of the experience of it and part of the joy and the allure of it. Like with tarot, Reiki, or the runes, these symbols that are thousands of years old. Part of the allure is the mystery and the secretness of it.
Hmm.
Fascinatingly enough, Bonnie, the word rune comes from the ancient Gothic word runa, which means a secret thing, a mystery.
Everyone loves that too, right? Like even me, I'm like, "Ooh, tell me more, tell me more." Everybody wants in on that. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So,
Mhm.
Christian, would everyone, when if somebody wanted to get their own ruins, would they learn each symbol first and their meaning?
Great question. So, yes, the first thing that I recommend is I was going to say choose your own set of runes, but you don't even have to do that. You can create your own set of runes. As a matter of fact, my runes, this is my only set of runes, the only set I've ever had. I made them myself. And I used a very ancient technique called Sharpie.
See, everyone, I know you were going to hear that laugh. That is
Oh, thank you.
signature laugh. So you're
Yes.
Sharpie and you went out and you gathered stones.
Yes, exactly.
That
So
and
back,
that alone just sounds very earthly and very, mystical.
absolutely, so mystical. So back then, I was living in Massachusetts. That's where Bonnie and I met in
Yeah.
Massachusetts. And at that point, I had been reading cards and was interested in the runes. Well, actually, I had an interest in the runes prior to that, and had the runes and there's the symbols and their meanings, but it was always just like literally a book on my bookshelf that I
I was
didn't
sitting there. I'll get to
exactly
that. I'll get to that. But it interested
exactly.
you, so it was there.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And
It
then it
was there.
founded you when you really needed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, okay, it's time. So I got that book off the bookshelf and I went out into my backyard in Massachusetts and I picked out stones. I just picked out stones and enough stones. And I went back in and I sat down on the floor and I laid all of the stones out. And I had the list of the runes with their images and their meanings. And I set it all out and I just sat and really took my time. It was a very meditative experience and a very
Thoughtful.
ritualistic experience where I just intuited which rune went on which stone and which stone belonged to which rune. And then I laid them out on the printout that I had with the different runes and until I had them all selected. And then I got out the Sharpie and wrote down the rune on that particular stone. So it was a beautiful ritualistic process. And so we can go and buy a set of runes, Many people will purchase them as gemstones. This is very common. For instance, amethyst runes are very common. But you also can just create your own, and I find that to be really powerful. I had a student once who said, "Oh, I have a bunch of sea glass. I don't know
Oh,
what to do with it. I think I'm going to make a set of runes out of sea glass."
so you
Yes,
can be very
perfect.
creative, but whether it's stones or crystals or sea glass, it's coming from the earth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yes, which is very beautiful
has
and
its
very
own
powerful.
power.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Another great thing to use is like maybe wood, little pieces of wood to write down the rune symbols on. But anything that might resonate with you. Of course, there are rune cards out there that you can purchase as well. So, you can buy your runes, but you can also just make your own set. And
I
that's
think that
exactly
sounds
what I
great.
did.
I really do. I think that's a great project for everyone to do at some point. Now you have
Yes.
me interested because I've never worked with the ruins, and you're giving me a beautiful explanation of them and where they came from, and now I'm intrigued because it sounds like a beautiful way to channel messages for yourself or for others as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So where does someone find the meanings? Are they in books, Kristen?
Yeah, you can find them in books. So the way that I read runes comes from the Book of Runes by Ralph Blum. And I do have a long history with this book. So back when I was in high school, I had a teacher who it was an English literature course. And one day she whipped out a copy of a photocopy of the runes and their meanings. So the symbols
Wow.
and their meanings. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And the picture of Odin hanging on Yggdrasil. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. But we didn't learn about the Viking runes. We didn't learn how to use them. We didn't learn anything really about them except to get this handout.
Hmm.
And I was so intrigued by this, Bonnie, that I kept that handout. And
Wow. It was
every
meant to be.
time, yeah, every time that, I was going to move somewhere, and you know how you clean out all your papers when you're going to move? I
You
just could
kept the
not bring,
paper.
yes,
I am
yes, I
going
just,
to need this. I just know it. Yes.
exactly. I could not bring myself to toss it out, but I didn't know what to do with it. I was just like, oh, this is so cool. I don't want to part with this, so I'll just put it back in that folder. And so on and on for years until the year it was 2011, and I was at a used book sale, and I saw on the shelf the Book of Runes, and I'm like, oh, so cool. And I pulled the book off the shelf and I opened it, and there was the photocopied page in terms of what my teacher had photocopied.
How
And
divinely guided you were to go that day to that place, find that book, and open that page. Like that took
yes.
your guides a lot of like, Christian, do this, do this, do this. Like you are being divinely guided when things just fall into place like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I was.
all of us have a team up there. So it's not just Christian or me, but it's all of us. We just have to follow, right?
Hmm.
Follow
Hmm.
those nudges. Christian got up and he's like, I'm going to go to that book fair or that. Was it outside, Christian?
It was a
Indoor?
library
It
book
was a
sale.
library.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Yes.
you go to what are they called where you just stop in like the flea market things sometimes?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
just see you doing that outside of places as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yes.
so I just, you're finding treasures.
Yes, absolutely.
So I do
Absolutely.
have a question. So if someone they get a bag, they make their ruins, they have their cheat sheet over here, right? Because you won't memorize them all at once. It'll come
Mhm.
to you, right? Like learning
Yes.
tarot or anything else. But then you just kind of throw them down, and whatever ruins is up face with a symbol on it, you then would see from your cheat sheet what they meant and how they fit together, Christian.
That's one way of doing it, Bonnie. The thing with the runes is that there are so many different ways to read them, and each reader has their own way of reading. As a matter of fact, the way that I read the runes, I didn't borrow from anyone else. Like I just intuited it. I sat down and I said, okay, I really want to know how these runes want to be read. And so I meditated on it. And it really came to me about the way for me to read the runes. But every rune reader has their own way of reading. Some rune readers will just pick one single rune for information and messages. Others will do, that like the 3 card reading is very common in card reading. And there's a 3 rune reading as well, where you just pick 3 runes and they're kind of like the 3 cards. Past, present, future, very common, is another way to do it. You could read only the ones that are face up, but when I cast, that's called casting when you take a handful and toss them. When I cast runes, I read them all, and whether or not they're face up or face down actually determines how they're meant to be read. And so, for anyone who wants to read the runes, what that means is that there's no one right or best way to read them. And what resonates and feels right to you is the right way to go. I will say, though, as far as memorizing the runes, it can be challenging because there are multiple layers. So first you have the Elder Futhark word for the runes. So this is Fehu, the rune Fehu. So you have that first. Then you have the meaning of the rune. This one is typically interpreted as wealth or possessions. Then you have the Elder Futhark meaning of the rune. This was cattle.
So back in the day when you had a lot of cattle, that was being wealthy.
Absolutely.
But I think
Absolutely.
what Christian's telling everyone as well is we need to use our intuition with whatever we're doing. I mean that is the best way to read is intuitively, and everyone will be different. Perfect.
Yes. 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 As a
Trust
matter of fact,
yourself. Trust yourself, right, Kristen?
yes.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. Some people
Yeah.
are glued to a book, and some people are like, nope, I know what that means because I know what it means to me,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So
don't so don't hold yourself back thinking there's a lot to it. Like start working with them and do what Christian did and do a meditation and say, what does this mean to me?
yeah, when it comes to memorizing all of those layers, I always encourage don't worry about memorizing like the Elder Futhark names for them, which can be challenging and hard to
Sounds
say and
a
hard to spell. It can be really helpful to know them,
little.
but it's not something that I actually even use in my readings. So when I do a reading for someone, it's not like I say, okay, now this rune, this is Fehu, and then, because people are going to be like, what? Say that again. Wait, how do you spell that? What? And it's like, no, no. You don't need to know that. You just need to know that this is about possessions and money and whatever else is coming up intuitively in the reading. And
Perfect.
so, yeah, so
Yeah.
I recommend, memorizing like a general uh, meaning of the rune. So, like, for instance, the rune of harvest.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing your reading, like you say, Bonnie, the intuitive messages will come up and just simply allowing them to come up and not feeling the need to force them or to grab for things that aren't there, but just
Mhm.
allowing it to arise.
And if we don't get in our own mindset of, oh my goodness, I got to remember what that said in the book, but you just take in the feelings or you see, hear, and feel what it means for the person in front of you or for yourself, then when you start kind of with that blank slate a little, that's when everything can come in for you, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
When we
Yes.
get nervous or we're like, oh, I got to remember that, then we're blocking. We're blocking. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
Good. So, Christian, are you going to do a little reading for me today and show
I
people?
sure can. Yes,
I'm going to
indeed.
share my reading with you guys. So,
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Great. So I'm going to, the way that I read is that I'll shuffle these runes up. And as I'm shuffling, Bonnie, you're welcome to think of a question that you might have, a situation that you might want insight or guidance on.
Mhm.
You are welcome to share that with us, or
Okay.
you're welcome to hold that in your heart. So, when I'm reading the runes or reading anything, tarot cards or oracle cards or anything else, you're welcome to share as much or as little as you want, and I don't need to know all of your business.
So, I can give you a pinpoint of something, and that's just because I moved from Massachusetts to Tennessee. And so, I would like to know a little bit more about my career here in Tennessee.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Sounds great, Bonnie. Let's see what the runes have to say. So I've got a handful here, and then I cast them, and we're going to read them based on how they landed and face up, face down, and all of that. Now, you can't see how these runes landed, but I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
So we have three runes right here that are like together, and that really means that they want to be read together.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to start with these three runes that are closest to me that are really kind of in a clump. Now, just because they're in a clump doesn't mean that they want to be read together. That's the way that it appears to me and
Okay.
comes to me. So that intuitive sense is definitely part of it. And so intuitively, these runes are to be read together. We're going to start here with this rune. This is the rune of gateway. Now, in the Elder Futhark language, this rune symbolized a giant or a demon or a thorn. So you see, the runes are really very multi-layered.
Mhm.
But this is face down. What this is telling me, Bonnie, is that the challenges, the slaying of the demons, the thorns in your shoe, all of that is past. You've gotten over that, you've gotten through that, you've overcome that. And I'm really confident about that meaning of the rune in this position because it was paired with these two runes, the rune of flow and the rune of fertility. Now, these two runes together um, are really telling me that you've got a lot of movement, a lot of positive energy going, and that with this rune of fertility, it's a really good time for lots of flow and things to be moving. In the Elder Futhark language, this symbolized a river and the flowing of the river and the movement of the river. And so, what I'm getting is that there's a lot of movement, energetic movement, and flow, and especially paired with this face down um, gateway rune, this is really telling me, Bonnie, that right now you have overcome the biggest hurdles. You've slayed the biggest demon, the biggest giant. And now you are moving forward. Energy is flowing, things are moving, and it's a really fertile time for you in terms of moving forward with what comes next.
Oh,
So
that
good
sounds
stuff.
so good. And because I was telling Christian before we started the podcast, it was really hard moving here after all these years and starting out brand new, knowing no one, not having a community. And I said to him, and I feel like I'm getting there now, Christian, right? I did. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that is confirmation, and it's a beautiful confirmation. Thank you so much, Christian.
You're welcome, Bonnie. Now, we've got a few more runes here. The next rune is the rune of harvest. The rune of harvest. Now, this rune is face down. And so, what I'm getting from this rune for you in terms of your relocation and what comes next is that the good things, the harvest is on the way. It's just not quite here yet.
Okay.
And so, like how we plant the seeds. And then I don't know about you, but so often I want the crops to grow right now, darn it. But they need their time, they need the water, they need the sun, and they don't grow right away. And so, what that means, Bonnie, is that the the seeds that you're planting right now, they are sprouting, but you won't be harvesting all of those beautiful seeds and all of the fruits of the labor right away, right now. It's going to take a little bit of time, of course. That's natural and normal. Even nature tells us
Yeah.
that that's a natural and normal thing. Yep. But harvest is on the way. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So, in other words, I know it's not easy. Be patient.
That's so good though to know that, spirit and, knows that you have been planting these seeds, and we're all a little impatient for things to show up sometimes. And that, you know what, we just gotta wait our divine timing, right, Christian?
Yes, yes. Well, Bonnie, this next rune is really going to resonate with you because it is all about divine protection. This is the rune of protection. And in the Elder Futhark language, it symbolized the elk. And it also symbolized grass, a particular type of grass, sedge grass, and which is very tough grass that grows in all kinds of challenging climates and conditions. But this rune is here to inform you, encourage you, to remind you, you know this, that you have divine protection and support all around you. And like you said earlier, Bonnie, not just you, but everyone listening too. And so this rune is just here to say, yes, you've got the guides, call on the guides. They're here to support you and they're here to encourage you as well.
Perfect. Thank
You're welcome. And finally, Bonnie, this one might
I
be
love
a
this.
little. Yes, well,
I
this might
love
be
that.
a little bit of a surprise for you, or maybe not, because this rune is the rune of partnership. It's sometimes called the love rune. And what I'm getting from this rune for you is that you've got a lot of love and support from your partnership. Now, I will say, everyone, I know Bonnie's partner. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
And there's encouragement here for you to really lean on that relationship right now because it is here to encourage and support you. And just a validation and an encouragement that this relationship is important to you and it's going to help support you as you move forward as the harvest comes. So lean on that partnership because it's here to support you.
So, guys, I really always know that my husband was divinely guided to me because he's always been my biggest protector, but always just, bringing me where I needed to go for events and doing different things like that. I mean, he was just divinely guided for me. I always say he is the biggest gift that they just showed me my son. I'm not forgetting my son and my grandkids, but one of the biggest gifts that I've received in my life. And so from God above. And so I do realize that. And with all marriages, when you've been married for a lot of years, you might forget it a little bit sometimes, but it's nice to be reminded. Yeah.
Well, Bonnie, how perfect. Because this rune in the Elder Futhark language is Gabo, and its meaning is gift.
Oh, look at that, Kristen. That is beautiful. And guys, I didn't know that, right? And that's how the mystical magical works, right, Kristen?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
That was a beautiful reading, Kristen. Do you do these online for people, or how can they get in touch with you if they want one of
Yes.
these?
Yes, I do. Now, the thing is that when I do them online, because I typically cast runes standing up, I have a
Oh,
special setup where I have my computer up on a table,
oh,
and
so
I
they
so
can
I
see.
no, not so they can see because that
Oh,
requires even more setup and more cameras and
oh,
everything. But I typically offer live rune readings online maybe once a year. I do them on a
oh,
special day or two, often in November. But I also teach rune reading, and I teach that at any time because I
did
have
not
a
know
rune
that.
reading program. Yep.
That is
I have my I'm sorry, what's that?
that's amazing. I didn't know that you did that. So,
I do. I do. Yes, I teach rune reading in person and online. And I actually have a program called Unlock Your Card Magic. And it's all about intuitively learning to read any kind of cards, and including runes. And I have a bonus rune reading program in that program. So when you get Unlock Your Card Magic, you get the full rune reading program, and it includes my guidebook on rune reading with different kinds of spreads and ways to read all of the rune meanings and their symbols, and then a couple of rune workshops where I walk through how to do different rune readings. So yes.
wow, that is amazing. And everyone, you will Christian is just like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things cards and healing and Reiki and business. And he is the person to go to for these things, I can tell you. So, just a stand up sort of guy that I've known for a long time. And really go to his website, check it out, check out everything that he has. Do you have anything else to say, Christian, before I let you go today?
Well, thank you. I do just want to say thank you to everyone tuning in. If you are interested in a live rune reading, reach out to me. Like I said, I typically do these online just once a year. But when you get on my email community, you're the first to know. And those slots always go quickly. So when you join my email community, you're always the first to know when I am offering live online rune readings or any other kind of readings as well. Sometimes I'll offer a special day of card readings or any of that, but I do also do them individually. So please feel free to reach out. We can
And
always
that's
make
all
arrangements.
on your website.
Send me an email. Yep, you can find me on my website. I don't have posted on my website right now the ability to schedule a rune reading with me, but someone can reach out if they want to, and
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
figure something
And
out.
that's
Yeah,
at standingstoneshealing.com. So everything's there.
standingstoneshealing.com. Hmm.
And I loved my reading and I loved hearing about the ruins and I love seeing Kristen's face here today. So more than anything. So I thank you so much. I will put your link in the description under the podcast, Kristen, so people can reach out to you. You might get really busy from this because that was a great.
Well, thank you, everyone. Such an honor to be here
Have
with
a
you.
blessed day. Thank you, Kristen.